Hey guys, Luke here, coming at you with a $600 gaming PC build. This is a great build if you don't have a lot of money, but you still want to play games at 1080p with good settings at decent frame rates. This build actually turned out quite well, and if you're looking for a gaming PC around this price range, then this is going to be an excellent option. Starting things off with the CPU for this build, I went with the Intel Core i5-4430 3.0GHz quad-core processor. This isn't the best i5 processor out on the market. It comes in at around $175. It isn't overclockable. It is, however, cheaper than the i5 4670K and the 4690K, which cost around $40 to $50 extra, and I just couldn't find a way to fit them into this build. The i5-4430 still has a lot of performance, and it is a quad-core processor which a lot of games are starting to utilize more and more and will continue to for the next few years. I'd rather get this over say an i3, as having a quad-core processor for gaming is becoming essential these days, and for $175 this is a great CPU to pick up. It isn't overclockable, but with the motherboard we have you can't even overclock on it anyway. For the motherboard, I went with the ASROCK H97 Anniversary ATX LGA 1150 motherboard. This is an Intel H97 motherboard. It's a fairly solid board. It has 4 RAM slots that support up to 32GB of DDR3 1600MHz RAM. However, it doesn't have a whole lot of features on it as it's only $72. But being only $72 is an advantage, as it saves you some money and it is still a solid motherboard. Also, ASROCK do have a solid line of motherboards, which this motherboard fits right into, and it was cheap, which was another key reason to why we chose it over other boards. For the memory, I went with some DDR3 G.SKILL RIPJAWS X Series 8GB 2 4GB sticks running at 1600MHz. This RAM costs $53. There's not much more to say as it's 8GB of RAM. Having 8GB of RAM is almost essential nowadays, as many games can utilize 4 to 8 gigs of RAM. If you wanted, you could get 12 or 16 gigs of RAM, but for a budget build like this, that doesn't really make sense. That would be something to do for the future, and anyway, 8 gig of RAM is just fine for now. It's perfect for video editing as well. You might want to boost that up to 16 if you're going to be doing that as well, but that it's just a later upgrade really. For storage, I went with the Western Digital CAVIAR Blue 1TB 3.5-inch 7200 RPM hard drive. This is $53 and it is a solid hard drive that will be perfect for everyday use. There wasn't really any point in getting an SSD instead of a hard drive due to many new game releases are increasing in file size. Take GTA 5 for example, that was a 65GB file, so having a 120GB or a 250GB SSD wouldn't allow you to store too many games and files on. Also, getting an SSD with the hard drive would have been a good idea, but as this is a budget build at $600, it would have just cost too much. For the video card, the thing that actually makes a gaming PC, I went with the MSI Radeon R9 280 3GB twin FROZR video card. This is $175, which is a pretty decent price. The R9 280 card can play lots of games at 1080p on high settings at around 50 to 60 frames per second. With some of the more demanding games such as Metro Last Flight, you will have to tweak the settings a little to stay on a high frame rate, but you'll only need to tweak them a little. This is a solid GPU for $175 and it has a decent cooling, so if you want to overclock it, you can. Then you can get even more performance out of this card if you do overclock it. Is $175 a solid deal and a very good GPU from MSI. Now, if you want to spend slightly less on a graphics card, you can get a I think it's a R9 270X Hawk Edition card, which will give you a fairly close frame rate and performance on most games compared to an R9 280. It costs about $20 less, I believe. Don't hold me to that, but you can choose that as well. For the power supply, I went with the EVGA 500W 80 plus certified ATX power supply. It costs $38. It's 500 watts and will power this build with no problems whatsoever. Obviously, you're not looking to go for a crossfire configuration in this build, and the i5-4430 CPU uses little to no power at all. 500 watts is way more than enough. This build is actually going to max out at around 430 watts, so you actually have a little bit of headroom with this power supply. It's cheap, and it's just a solid power supply coming from EVGA, which are a reliable brand. The price is definitely the key drawing factor here, because the others like Corsair, their prices are about $50 to $60, so you're saving about $20 here. And finally, for the case, I went with the ROSEWILL Galaxy O1 ATX mid tower case. It costs $40 and is large enough to store all of our components. This is a solid case from ROSEWILL. For the price, it is one of the best in its price range. It's kind of basic, but still has everything a budget build case should have, and everything that we would need. The interior is solid and has room for upgrades in the future. But that's it from me, guys. I'll leave the PC part picker down in the description below. And thanks for watching this video. And if you have any requests for future videos, leave them in the comments down below. Like this video if you enjoyed it or it helped you out. And also subscribe to the channel for more PC build videos. There's GTA 5 gameplay on the background, or you would have saw that already. Hopefully the PC part pickers links will help you get your head around most of this. I think I've gone over it decently anyway. But yeah, leave a like on the video, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel for more PC builds. That's pretty much from me, guys. Peace. I can tell you what I never ever said to her. I can never love, I can never love. I can do the things she wants and things I think with her. I can never